Good morning. My name is Adam Kahn, and I'm the Rational Investor. Let me show you real quick how gorgeous it is before I get into anything else. Going out for my morning walk today. I'm going to hit the park, which I think is pretty too. But I wanted to talk a little about some things that I going through my head about the markets and everything else. I'm getting a little tired of the Fed because I think that their plan is to continue raising, and I think we've gone far enough. The problem I see is that they're a little too far removed from the real world. They make too much money and they just look at data and they don't recognize that things are really stretched. I mean, eh, I just don't think they see it. So when they see data comes out that makes the economy look strong, hey pup, they get really worried about the inflation. But I'll tell you something about that goes through my head. They want to lower inflation and they want to cause more unemployment and slow the economy down. Do you really think that people are better off unemployed going into a slower economy versus dealing with inflation and possibly having to downsize or lose their car or whatever it is that they can't keep up with the payments on? I got to tell you, I think somebody would be in a better position to be employed going through a rough time, no matter how bad it feels for them, than be out of work in a slowing economy where it's hard to find a job. Why do they think it'll be so easy to fix that once they start it? My guess is just like the inflation getting out of control and them not having as much control of it as they think, when they finally cause things to break and companies have really slowed, which, to be fair, might be years away. It may not be next week or anything else. The economy seems to be chugging along too, even though it's slowing, which is why I think we're at the perfect point to slow down and wait. Anyway, that being said, I don't see the value of putting people out of work into a slowing economy. And how do they think they'll stop that from getting worse? Once it starts to go that direction, it's not like by pivoting and cutting rates, a few months later it'll be fixed. So now you'll end up having to pay more unemployment, have more welfare, have things to help the people that now you've put out of work in an economy that doesn't have a whole bunch of jobs to hire. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I understand housing's gotten expensive. I understand a loaf of bread is. I understand your constituents are complaining that things are expensive. I still think pushing too far is a huge mistake. So let's take their comments of, oh, look, some rabbits. I don't know if I can get them on camera. I don't think you'll see them. But there's a whole bunch over here. So cool. Anyway, this is why I love going on my walks. Is oh, do you see them? Do you see them? Do I have them in the camera? Maybe, maybe not. I'll look later. Anyway, there were like 6 or 7 of them. Kind of cool. I love wilderness, unless it's something I don't want to bump into. So anyway, I just don't get it. Let's take their estimate of things take 6 months to a year for the rate hikes to actually hit the economy. So 10 meetings in a year, you raise a quarter point each meeting. If it takes 6 months, well, you're a point and a quarter too far of where you needed to be if you're raising a quarter every meeting at this point until it slows the way you'd like. And I think you're more likely to be at a year the way that your mindset is that you have to slow it down, which means we'll be 2.5% too high from where we really should be to be at equilibrium. How quickly you plan on cutting once we get there? Once you start breaking things the way you think you want to, how fast do you think you'll need to be able to reverse it? If we're 2.5% too far and companies are letting people go and smaller overstretched companies are closing down, and yeah, inflation's in check, so good for you. And now you've got the proper amount of employment that you want. Why would you think it would just settle there? My God, pause. Give it 6 months. If inflation gets worse, okay, people are still employed. They'll handle it much better than putting them out of work to do so. I think the whole thing is silly. And the reality is, it just allows guys like me to be able to trade the system. Like, the cycle's pretty consistent. I'll be able to stay long the stocks while they're still running. And when it looks like it's petered and gone too far, well, sit on the sidelines, wait for housing to correct, and pick up some bargains. Like, it just doesn't make it right. You're better off stretching everybody a little too thin, where can't afford a new car, so have to use the old one, or can't go on that extra trip this year, whatever else it is, instead of slowing the inflation and putting people out of work. So that's my 2 cents. I thought they had done a really good job up until now. The rhetoric on the last meeting, if it was actually what's intended to imply, we're not there and I'm just going to have to keep raising. I think there's this fear that if he says he's really going to pause, that the markets will take off and get out of control, forgive that I say funny words, and go too far. But, you know, I said to a friend of mine, or my brother potentially, that the reality is math is math and numbers are numbers. If the markets get a little overheated because they get excited thinking we're just going to go up and up and up because they say they're going to pause, the reality is earnings will be earnings, markets will be markets, and they'll essentially settle down and go back to where they should be. So, I don't know. Anyway, again, my name's Adam Kahn, the Rational Investor. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. I like the weekdays because the markets are open. I like the markets. Today, I'm actually going to probably go pick up some lamb shanks and try a new recipe to cook for my other channel. That it'll probably take me a week or two to post because it'll be my first time trying it. And I'm hoping to get lucky. It just looks delicious. So have a great day. Have a good weekend. Maybe I'll do some rants in the next day or two, but I just plan to go on my walks and enjoy the day. Have a good one.